he's going to talk about his experiences in Hollywood and most specifically his experiences in Tombstone. So
yeah, well, I've been acting for about 32 years. Tombstone we did about 12 years ago. It was about a 135-page script. Every page is a minute. It was written by a guy named Kevin Jarre, who was a very, very talented writer. Got fired off the movie. He was the director of the film. He wanted his girlfriend to play the lead female character, and they wouldn't let him do that. Kevin just wanted to do everything his own way, and he wanted to shoot it a certain way, and Disney wasn't happy with it. We had 12 weeks to shoot it. Brought in a director by the name of George Cosmatos, and George finished the movie. They ended up throwing out just about everything Kevin shot, so we basically shot that movie in 8 weeks. It was shot in Tucson. I have a very powerful agent. My agent handles Mel Gibson, and he handles Denzel Washington, and Steve Martin and Billy Crystal and a lot of other big people. And as an actor, I mean, what you're always looking for is the best role. And at that time, you know, I was pretty hot. I just, you know, I'd forgotten, it was 12 years ago, but I wanted to play Doc Holliday. I mean, that was the role that I wanted to play. Because they ended up offering that role to Val Kilmer, as you well know. And so I was really disappointed because I really wanted to meet for that role. And they wanted to see me for Johnny Ringo. It's got an incredible cast in it, you know. I mean, it's got, you know, it's got Kurt Russell, who's been working since he's been like 5, and it's got Sam Elliott, who's probably one of the biggest Western stars that we've ever had. And then Bill Paxton, who's on Big Love right now. And the reason the movie really turned out as well as it did was because it was a great script. And you had a director who, he wasn't very strong when it came to story and script, but visually he was very good. And George ended up having an operation, you know, up in Canada. The healthcare system and so on and so forth. And up in Canada, he went up and he had some growth in the back of his neck. He came out of the operation blind. He died very quickly thereafter. He was a big blowhard. If you were like on the if you were on the like level of like you're beneath him, you know, he'd treat you like garbage, you know. And if you were above him, you know, he'd kiss your ass. And Tombstone itself was made for about $65 million. And now, 10 years later, 12 years later, it's been on television 9 million times, it's been rented in DVDs and box sets and so on and so forth. So they've made some profit on it, but it wasn't an extremely successful movie. So I played, you know, Johnny Ringo, and I did, as an actor, I did as much research as I could. And I read about that period of time, and I read about Johnny Ringo himself. You know, I did the research. I did as much research as I could on him, and you know, the thing that was great about Johnny Ringo and the take that I had on him as an actor, I mean, you always kind of have to have a take, especially if you're playing a bad guy, was like, I kind of feel like Johnny had a death wish. For instance, the beginning of the movie, they had Johnny Ringo shooting a priest. Now that was not in Kevin Jarre's script originally. That was not part of the script, but they wanted, once they fired Kevin, he took 135 pages, now we have to shoot it in 8 weeks, so they just started like tearing pages out, saying we can't shoot this, we can't shoot this, we don't need this, we can only shoot what we really have to have. But one of the scenes that they wanted was they wanted to set up Johnny Ringo as this really bad guy. And so they, you know, they made up this scene that he shoots this priest, which, you know, pissed me off. I was not really very happy about it because, you know, when you're playing a real life character and you're playing a true life character, it seems, you know, unfair to portray a person who, you know, even though they're dead, has family. And the cowboys were, you know, they were a group of guys, and they were thieves, and they used to run cattle from Mexico and steal cattle and so on and so forth. And they kind of ran Tombstone and so on and so forth. And the Earps came in, and the Earps were tough guys, you know, and then they were known as gunfighters, and Doc Holliday kind of teamed up with them, and they were, yeah, it was like a couple of gangs, you know, trying to take control of the town. You know, but the idea that the Cowboys were these bad guys and the Earps were the good guys, and you see the, you know, the four guys and their hats and they're all walking down and the music swells and everything, and like they're the heroes. In reality, the Earps went down there looking for a gunfight. You know, I think the McClarty brothers and Ike Clanton, Claiborne, they were all hungover from the night before, trying to get the fucking horses. They all had, each one of them had a pistol. I believe that in the cylinder of 6 bullets, usually they carried those things, and they didn't have all 6 cylinders with bullets in them, because they had like 15 bullets between all of them. The Earps and Doc Holliday came down there, and they all had both 6-shooters filled, all of them. And Doc Holliday had the shotgun, and you know, they just went down there and massacred these guys. But in reality, what happened was there was an inquiry, and there was it was very, very close to the Earp standing trial for murder. You know, there was it would be like a grand jury type of situation where all the facts are presented, and a jury or a group of 3 judges had to decide whether the Earps and Doc Holliday were going to stand trial for murder. So that's really kind of what happened. So this idea of like the good guys and the bad guys is not, that's filmmaking, you know, and that's movies, and you know, that's what most Westerns in particular, but most movies are about heroes and bad guys and conflicts. And there's I don't know how long the movie ended up being, but masses of stuff that is cut out of that movie that is about the Cowboys. Powers Booth, who's another great actor. Do you guys know who Jim Jones was? Jim Jones was the guy who created a thing called Jonestown down in Guyana, and like this 900 people drank Kool-Aid. Whenever you hear about people drinking Kool-Aid now, it came from Jones. He played Jim Jones in a television movie, if you can ever get a hold of that. Anyway, Powers played Curly Bill, and Powers' stuff was really cut up badly, and he was very upset by the cut of that movie. And I lost a lot of stuff in that movie too. And a lot of stuff got cut out. But it happens all the time in movies. It ends up being a shorter movie than what it ended up, than what Kevin wanted it to be. One of the things that I thought was so great about it was that it was very gray, and there wasn't like good guys and bad guys, you know. And we were talking about the fact that if you wanted to, you could write a script about that same subject matter and show it from the Cowboys' point of view. And it would be a completely different movie, you know. The Earps would be the bad guys. Over the card game, you know, they went in because they were tough guys and said, you, get out. No, bang, slap, whatever, you know, we're the Earps boys, and you're gone. And they just took over the gambling. They took over all of the gambling in Tombstone. And at that time, Tombstone, if you go to Tombstone now, it's like this, you know, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's a desert. It's like, that's the thing about Westerns too, when you think about it, is like, you always think about like them drinking beers and stuff. I mean, it's like, and hotels, and then staying in those hotels. It's like 120 degrees there every day in the summertime. Tombstone. I mean, I'm from Arizona. I'm from Lake Havasu. I mean, it's hot. And we were working out there, and it is hot. And how anybody, the idea that like, you know, you're drinking cold beers and, you know, in the hotels, and I mean, and how they even lived out there, to me, it's very, very difficult, you know? And he always wanted to, he was looking to, like, you know, they call it like when, like this poor guy that, I didn't really hear about it on the news, but I know that this guy committed suicide the other day, but they call, a lot of times they'll say that guys that suicide by police, you know, where they'll just come out with a gun, and they're just, they know they're gonna get killed, and but they let the police do it because they don't have the balls to do it to themselves. And I kind of thought of Johnny Ringo being that way, is that he kind of had this death wish, and he just wanted to die, and that's the way that I kind of played him. And so that's why when I'm talking to Doc Holliday, there's always kind of a hint of like, yeah, motherfucker, let's try it, man. Let's go for it. You know, let's you know, because I'm not afraid to die. I'm kind of looking forward to it. You know?